called
go.
winging it.
You're on.
Good morning, Westminster. Good morning, Carol.
Good morning, Ken.
Good morning,
Boyd.
And
Hello,
good
Ken and Carol. Good morning.
Hi, Ev, our
Hi, Ev.
special guest today.
Hello.
Hello,
Good to have
Ev.
you.
Hi.
Ev,
Good of
we
you
were
to
just,
good of you to
we were
be here
just-
today.
yeah,
Thank you.
wonderful to have you, and congratulations on your new position. We're delighted to have you at Westminster.
Well, thank you
And-
so much. I'm so glad to be here.
You know, we were just talking about some experiences we had when we were young that involved food, you know, like something our mother made or something like that. And I was telling them that we had a lady that worked for us named Amy who made the most fantastic peach cobbler you ever ate in your life. And she worked with us till she retired. She retired and lived with her daughter and her son-in-law. And we used to go over there all the time and visit and take her stuff. And I asked her one time, I said, Amy, you know, I just simply cannot make a peach cobbler like you. Can you tell us how to do it? And she said, I ain't gonna tell you. I'm gonna take it to heaven.
So did you ever try? I know you've made a lot of peach cobbler.
Never like hers.
Well,
Never
that's
like
probably-
hers. I wonder what it was.
Yeah,
We'll never know. It's in heaven now. So that reminds me of a story about my mother's chocolate pie, because it was our go-to dessert, and it was the one that, you know, I always asked for, and so it was so good. And Kitty and I'd been married a few months, and I said, I really wish I had a chocolate pie, and she said, well, I can make one. She did. We were living 500 miles away, you know, from home, from my mother and dad's house. And I kind of said, oh, that's really good, but it wasn't the same pie. And I said, I don't know what it is, but it's just not the way my mother made it. And so we came home and
There's the honeymoon right there.
yeah, I was nice during the honeymoon, but so we got home one Christmas to visit, and I said, I wish you'd make me a chocolate pie and show Kitty how to do it. And Kitty said, can you give me the recipe? And Mother said, I don't have a recipe. So Kitty said, well, you make it and I'll follow you around and write it down, and we'll make a recipe. And she did that. And so we got home and she tried the recipe. And I don't know what my mother did in the course of making that pie, but the recipe didn't produce Mother's pie. So
my
we
gosh.
never were able to do it. So anyway, that was another recipe that went to heaven. So.
Well, Boyd, you put your marriage on the line there when you said this isn't as good as Mother used to make it. That's just a no-no. You don't ever say that.
No, I
Right.
think what I said was it's different from what
Right.
my mother used to make. Surely I said that. Maybe not.
Ev, tell us, oh, go ahead,
You
Carol.
go ahead.
Ev, tell us about, being from France, I bet you've got some fabulous
Oh,
cooking experiences.
Yeah, well, there was plenty of good food, of course. One thing that I remember when I was in elementary school, when school was out in the afternoon every day, we would go to the local bakery on the way home, and I would always get to have an afternoon snack, and I would always get the pain au chocolat, which of course is a chocolate croissant, and that was my daily afternoon snack, and I still love those. So whenever I go back to France, I'll be sure to stop by a bakery and pick some of those up, because you really can't make them at home the same way. So
That's right. Where did you grow up in France?
In Paris when I was really small, and then in the outside of Paris in the western suburbs after that. So
Well, when we spent a little time in Provence, and there was a bakery in the nearby village, and I'd go up there every morning for bread and that sort of thing, and the croissants were just marvelous. But they had a doll, a Santon of a baker and his wife in costume in the window, and Kitty said, oh, look at those. I'd love to have those. And she went in and she asked the Madam Baker, whatever, however you say that, if those were for sale. And she said, no, they're not. And so the next day, or while we were there, Kitty would go in occasionally and say, you haven't changed your mind. And finally, the woman put a price on them, and Kitty bought them, and she was wrapping them up. And the little daughter of the baker and his wife came in and saw what she was doing and went into absolute hysterics because those were her dolls.
Oh.
So it was terrible. And I'll say this for Kitty, she took the package and we brought them home. So she didn't give in. And we probably emotionally scarred that little girl. I don't know.
Yeah, probably did. Well, listen, I was going to tell you, Ev, that particular croissant you're talking about, I think they make that over at that restaurant on, it's on Bee Caves Road, called Baguette et Chocolat. It's a French couple that runs it. But how did you manage to get to the United States and get into fitness?
My parents came here, so I came with my parents when I was a teenager. That was in the 80s, and I went to Austin High School. So I know we have a few alums from Austin High School here at Westminster. And so I came because they did. And then after high school, I traveled and lived a variety of places for work and for college, and then came back to Austin in &98. And I've been here continuously since. And my parents still live in Austin. They live in the Barton Hills neighborhood. And I live in South Austin near South Congress in the Travis Heights neighborhood. And so we're still here.
Hey, have you always been in fitness or a fitness trainer?
Yeah, I started really in my late teens. I started exercising and then pretty soon working. It was kind of the early days of group classes, and I started teaching exercise classes at a local gym, and I've done it continuously ever since. And I've expanded from starting with group classes and then became a personal trainer and yoga instructor, massage therapist, and got more advanced techniques that I learned over the course of the decades. But yeah, I started pretty early on. It was really something that when I tried it, it just felt like, wow, I feel so much better when I'm active. I think I should continue to do that, and I can help other people feel good as well and be active. So it's something I've done for a long time.
Well, how do you find the fitness situation here, the wellness fitness, and how do you see the new fitness center being developed? Was that going to meet your expectations in the new building?
Yeah, well, let's we'll all be discovering it together, this new facility, but it sounds really exciting. And we're lucky that I came in, there was already a really strong program in place, thanks to my predecessor, Amanda, who really set things up with some great classes. And we've got a couple of gyms that are available for residents with some all kinds of variety of equipment that's available for use 24/7. So we already have a really good program that I'm excited about. And then, of course, we've got this new facility coming in the future. And that looks to be amazing because we're going to have a gym with all new equipment and a fitness studio. And also it'll be connected to the outpatient rehab and an expanded wellness clinic, as well as massage and the salon. It'll be close to the pool. So it's going to be terrific. And there's even going to be a space for exercising outside, which is, of course, very healthy for us to get outdoors and get some fresh air at the same time. So all of that will be available, and that's super exciting.
That
That
is,
is.
I hear you describe it. It's going to be great. Did you have have much experience working with seniors before you came here?
I did. I think it was something that's been a natural fit for me. I've worked with older adults for a long time. I think it was a natural clientele for me. I had a variety of folks who came to see me for exercise, for massage, for movement training, and yoga, and folks from middle age all the way up to mid to late 90s. And I think I really enjoy working with folks in this age group.
Ev, are you going to, I'm an exercise in the living room person, other than going for a lot of walks. Are you going to do anything over our channel that we can just do at home?
Yeah, I'd like to. I think it was something of a discovery, a little bit of a silver lining during COVID, that as classes had to stop in person, classes were put online. And I have to thank Amanda for leading the charge on that, and several of the instructors, Cindy and Leah, and then the resident leaders. And they've created a nice assortment of classes that are streaming right now. And it turned out to be really great. People enjoyed that as an additional amenity beyond having the classes in person. So I'd like to keep that going after COVID and expand the repertoire. I haven't been able to add to it yet, as I'm still transitioning, but hopefully, we know this is really helpful to residents, so we'll do more of that.
Yeah, and I was pleased to see that you were able to do some stretching classes outside before I guess we even shut that down or something. That looked like something that I'd like to do too, is be outside.
Ev, what exercises would you say are the most important for seniors?
Well, it's good to have a rounded program with some variety. So cardiovascular endurance is important, strength is important, flexibility is important. I would say strength we should emphasize and perhaps do more of, because it's so critical to our ability to do everyday activities. We just need to be strong enough to just do ordinary things, to live independently and to not be exhausted all the time, and to hold ourselves up with good posture and so on. So I think strength is really critical. And then everything related to good alignment to support our posture, which then makes also everyday activities so much easier, as well as walking, things that are really necessary for every day.
I would think that just sitting down and getting up, that's probably a good one, because that getting up gets harder every year.
Yes.
And balance
absolutely.
too.
Balance, yes. Yeah.
Balance is really important. Getting up and down, really important. So getting up and down, I would categorize that as strength. So that's your leg strength. And balance, for sure. Balance is absolutely critical. And we have a couple of balance classes happening right now, some online and some in person. The good news is we had to interrupt the classes because of COVID. Just last week we had restarted, then we had to stop. But the good news is, last I heard, as of right now, we're able to restart in February. And so that's very exciting. So we're going to have some in-person classes on the calendar starting at the first of the month in February. And we have 2 classes dedicated to balance on Monday morning at 10 o'clock and on Wednesday at 9:30 in the morning. Those are live. They're going to be in Harris Bell Hall. So if you want to practice your balance, and I'll be teaching those, that's a really good opportunity. And we have a variety of other classes that are restarting. So we have classes for cardiovascular, fitness classes that combine some cardiovascular, some strength with some light weights, as well as flexibility. And that's really important too. And I've added some Qigong classes a couple of afternoons a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And that's a sitting exercise. That's, if somebody is familiar with Tai Chi, then that might be the closest thing to describe it. It's a method of self-care that is has nice, slow, gentle movements that just about anyone can do. And so that's another component that I'm adding. And then we also have yoga a couple of times a week. So we really have a nice assortment of classes that people can join. And I'm excited to be restarting those.
Will you be
When you
moving?
say,
Excuse me.
when you say a class, is that like 10 people? Is it going to be limited to?
Right now, I believe we're allowed 20 people in the classes. And maybe even, we'll clarify that. We haven't had more than 20, so it hasn't been a concern. I think in Harris Bell Hall, we can have up to 30.
I think
but
that's
I'll
right.
confirm that. Yeah,
That
so-
was the limit before this last shutdown. I suspect we'll go back to
Okay.
that. So will the
Yeah.
chair exercises be moving up to Harris Bell Hall also?
Yes.
Instead of in the bistro?
Right. It was in the bistro during vaccination because
Yeah.
the space was busy. We're going back to Harris Bell Hall. On occasion, the Harris Bell Hall is busy, and so we'll try to give you a little bit of notice if we move the location to the bistro or anywhere else. But that's where it's supposed to be right now. But definitely keep an eye on the daily schedule, because it always has the very latest if there is a change or a
Well, that's one of the
modification.
nice things about the new facility, because when we had to move Pilates class from Harris Bell Hall because of a conflict, we ended up in the solarium, and the solarium is not an ideal place for an exercise class. It's you can do it, but if you get 30 or 40 people in there trying to see the leader, and it's just, and have enough room between chairs, it's crowded. So the new facility will have an exercise, a studio where we can have classes.
Exactly. That'll be great. And earlier we mentioned that we had an outdoor class last month, and that'll be another thing that I want to bring back when the weather gets January, February. The weather is a little bit iffy, but of course we'll have nice weather in the spring. And so having a variety of classes and having classes that rotate through the schedule, in addition to the kind of regular ones that we always have, like the balance class, having some that rotate and we can have in different locations, like outside, to get the benefits of the outdoors and getting our vitamin D and so on, and fresh air. So I like to have that variety as well.
Ev, you certainly practice what you preach, because you ride your bicycle from home to work every day and back.
That's right. It's a great way for me to get some exercise. And
How far is it?
it's about 6 and a quarter, 6 1/3. Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
do you have a bike lane most of the way, or?
I have yes, I take there's bike lanes, and there's a nice path along Shoal Creek, and so it's a really nice way to go, and it really feels pretty safe. So it's a nice, and it's along the park, so it's good. I like it.
Do you come out over in the Grove, or do you come out on Shoal Creek here?
Yes, I
there's-
come up Shoal Creek, and then 29th, Jefferson, and Bull Creek.
Yeah. Well, I think the bike lane is going to be extended along the creek all the way through the Grove, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was the plan, and farther
Right.
north, of course. Yeah. Well, do you ever run into Dr. Pellegrini out there on his bicycle? He
I
bikes around.
have. Yeah,
You
I've
have,
met
yeah.
him at where we park our bikes. So I've talked to him, and I know he's an aficionado of cycling as well. So I've seen him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ev,
We're
can you
really
tell us?
fortunate to have you here, Ev.
Can you tell us just a little bit about Qigong?
The Qigong class? Okay, yeah, so the Qigong class is, like I said, if someone is familiar with Tai Chi, that would be something a little bit similar that you might already be familiar with. It's it's a tradition that goes back really thousands of years in China. So techniques for self-care, and Qigong means the working with Qi or developing Qi, and Qi is your vital energy, your life force or vital energy. And so the exercises are designed to stimulate that vital energy. And of course, that's something we all want plenty of. And but the exercises are quite gentle and slow, so lots of people can participate. This particular form that I've introduced so far is developed by a teacher I studied with for many years, Master Lee. He used to live in Austin, so I was able to study with him directly for a long time. He now lives in California, but he's a master teacher of great. I have a lot of respect for his masterful teaching, and he developed this particular form, and I feel like this is a wonderful thing for residents to be able to participate in and work with their chi.
I'm looking forward to being in that class. I'd like to try it sometime, and we're so delighted to have you here on the program. Appreciate you taking time for us, and to have you here at Westminster. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Enjoyed talking to you.
We'll
Well,
try some
thanks.
of those classes.
Yes, please do. And I'm available as well for if anybody has any questions or wants some help with individual programming. So not in addition to classes, I'm happy to make appointments with residents, and we can talk about a little bit more individual issues that someone might want to discuss regarding their own program. So I'm available for that. And so that everybody can find ways to exercise that's just right for them, and we can problem solve if need be.
That's good to know.
Thank you so much.
Sounds great.
Good luck.
Thank
Well,
you.
you're welcome.
Boyd, what's happening next week or this week?
Well, tonight, Ken Ashworth has a program on rediscovering poet Edna St. Vincent Millay. So it's supposed to, I think it's going to be really interesting. Then there's the usual number of good movies on. Rain Man is on Tuesday night. There's a program on Cleopatra, Portrait of a Killer. That's got a hook. It sounds good. And then given what we've been talking about today, I think we all ought to tune in on Wednesday afternoon for the Jack Benny program, which is entitled Jack Goes to the Gym. So I think that will be fun to watch.
That should be something to see.
And the great thing about that I think we ought to mention is that by the end of this week, almost all of the residents at Westminster will have received their second dose of the vaccine. So
That's incredible.
it really is good news, and I think it's going to give us a pathway to some kind of normalcy. It won't come right away. We'll have to wait for the vaccine to take effect and all of that stuff, and maybe for Austin to calm down a little bit with its other problems, but with its vaccination problems. But it does. It is light at the end of the tunnel, isn't it?
Right, right.
Yeah.
We couldn't even find the tunnel for a while.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Well, I think are we done here, folks?
Yep.
I think so. think
Yep,
so.
thank you again for being with us. Goodbye, you
Thank
two.
you.
Cooks.
Bye-bye.
Everybody be safe and be well out there. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.